I've been going to the gym for over 4 years straight, and when I first started, there were no proper guides on YouTube on how to actually start the gym. They're all like top 9 ways to build muscle and everything, but nobody give you that proper step-by-step autistic level detailed guide on how to actually begin your journey. And so I want to tell you exactly what to do. This is going to be like a full, raw, unedited guide, exactly what you eat, how to sleep, how to train, what exercises to do when you first go to the gym, everything, so that you know exactly what to do when you first walk down those stairs into the gym. So first of all, I'm going to go over how to sign up. So I'm instantly going to get you signed up to a gym if you haven't done that already. I'm going to tell you what newbie gains are. I've got like a little list here. Create a schedule, workout split, do these exercises, train to failure, bulking and cutting, the real food pyramid and why calories don't actually matter, create a baseline of food and eat like a dog and adjust your baseline, and finally, how to sleep. So I help guys just like you who are full-time students get jacked by improving their health. That is what I teach inside my program. That will help you out a lot. And let's get started with signing up. So I want you to immediately, right now, if you have not signed up to a gym, sign up to a gym. Like, how can you expect to build muscle? When I first started, I was just trying, like ab exercises in my room, or I get like a few dumbbells, and yes, that can work. But I noticed I noticed no progress until I joined a gym. The fact that I didn't join a gym meant I made no progress. I don't know what it is, but it's just like the environment of the gym. You're just like the gym guy now. You just go in and you're in the gym, right? It's like this thing where it made me want to be consistent. It made me want to get jacked. Whereas at home, it was like, yeah, I kind of want to do like a few exercises here and there, like you skip a few days, maybe you're watching YouTube whilst you're doing your set or whatever. And the equipment's not very good anyway, so you might as well join a gym. So what you're gonna do is go onto like Google Maps or whatever and find the nearest gym to you. And you're literally just going to go in today. You can call up, but I know I never used to like to call up. You either ask your parents to go and like sign up with you, or you go yourself, depending on your age. And you literally just say, can I get started like today? And they'll probably give you like a date. They may not be able to do it today, but they'll give you a date on how to. It's an induction. So they have to like show you the equipment first before you use it, just as like, health and safety or whatever. But you do that, you follow that, and then you're accepted into the gym. Just pay the fee, whatever it is. Obviously, if it's like 100 quid a month, then don't pay it. But it's normally about like 20 quid, 30 quid a month. If you don't have that money, then go and work a job. If you actually want to make this progress, then you've got to join a gym. That is just essential. You can work out from home and you can do calisthenics and all this kind of stuff, but that just didn't work for me. And so the best way is to start the gym straight away. So do that today and come back to this video. Do not watch this video unless you have signed up to a gym. That is an absolute essential, okay? Now, number 2, newbie gains. So when you first start the gym, you will notice that whatever you do, even if you're not doing things correctly, I'll tell you how to do things correctly, but you can just sort of lift weight and you'll get like crazy progress instantly. And this is the idea of newbie gains, as in like when you first start, when you're a noob, like in a video game, you get the gains without even trying very hard. So it's very easy to build muscle at the start. You have the most amount of testosterone you've ever had. Your body isn't used to lifting these weights. So immediately it's going to be like, oh my God, we need to build muscle, because it's being pushed into this environment that it's not used to. Whenever you start like an endeavor, it's either immediately really hard or really easy, depending on what it is. So like your body normally takes a while to adapt to a certain diet that you're eating. But for this, it immediately adapts just to be safe, essentially. But obviously this is all safe. You're not going to die or anything. It's not going to stunt your growth. Don't worry. It actually boosts your growth because it boosts all your hormones and everything. It's fantastic. So you need to optimize your schedule as soon as you can. You see, what I did is, obviously most people don't know what they're doing when they're first starting out, which is fine because you can utilize newbie gains and you can sort of do whatever for the first like 6 months to a year and you'll just build muscle anyway. I was eating terribly. I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't eating the right food. I wasn't training correctly. I wasn't training to failure. I wasn't doing the correct sets. I wasn't doing the correct exercises, sleeping, anything, right? I just wasn't doing anything correctly and I still packed on muscle. But then if you optimize that, if you can do like me 4 years in, the beauty of like the internet and everything is that after 4 years, I can teach you exactly what to do. And then you can implement that straight away. You don't have to think, you don't have to go through the 4-year journey to get to my point, right? You can just do it straight away when you first start. Like, how awesome is that? The internet's cool. So what you want to do is, first of all, create a schedule. So this is like tip number 3. This is step number 3. So when I talked about this in a video yesterday that I posted. You want to stay consistent. So consistency with these newbie gains, if you just go like every now and then, it's not going to work. You have to be consistent. Consistent is the most important thing within the gym. Even if you're doing it wrong at the start, then being consistent is what matters most. So creating a schedule, you can literally write this down on a piece of paper. You can write it on your phone, on your notes app, anything. You just have to write down a schedule and go at the exact same time every single, you probably shouldn't go every single day, but I go 4 times a week, right? So you have to go on the exact same days of the week at the exact same time, every time, non-negotiable. Don't just think, oh, I'll go on Monday and then should I go on Tuesday? No, maybe I'll go on Wednesday. Thursday, yeah, Thursday comes around, I can't be bothered. You've got to go on this exact, like, military routine schedule. Exactly, every single time. This is what I used to do when I was in high school. I would go as soon as as soon as school finished. So as soon as it hit 3 o'clock, I used to go 6 times a week, which is not optimal, but it allowed me to be consistent because as soon as school finished, I just knew for a fact that the first thing I was doing is going to the gym because my gym is connected to my school, which is amazing. So as soon as I finish school over here, I go straight into the gym. And I just change out my school clothes, change into my gym clothes and just hit a workout. And it's fantastic. If you could do that, then brilliant. If you can't, then it doesn't really matter. Just try and get to the gym as soon as possible. But you want to go at this exact scheduled time because lots of people just come and go just as they please. But you know for a fact that if you don't do things, if you don't have a timetable, the way I like to explain it is if you had like a timetable for school and it said maths, but it didn't tell you what time. Like you just had a timetable of lessons throughout the day, but you didn't have any time on it. So instead of going at 8:40, it just said maths, and you'd be like, well, I'll just go and do something else instead. I'll do something more interesting. I'll probably go and do PE or something, right? Because it's just more fun. And that's the same for here. When you're like sitting in your room and you're thinking, yeah, I should probably go to the gym. What time should I go? Maybe like 5 o'clock, I don't know. And you're just like scrolling on TikTok or something like a little neek. And then that ends up you just like wasting your day. So you have to be strictly routine with this. Nothing can get in the way of your gym time. So you have got to go on that exact time and no matter what, okay? Whatever like thing you've got in the day that is stopping you from doing that, you have got to say no and you just got to get it done anyway. You've got to go to the gym regardless of anything else in your day. If your parents ask you to go out and do something, if your friends want to do something with you, if you've got like even homework, right? This is important, so you've got to get that done. You schedule your day so you know exactly what time you are doing. So create that schedule right now. You don't even need to have had your first day in the gym yet. You just need to create this schedule on, like, I use an app called Notion on my phone or my computer on here, and also I have like you can write things on your wall. I stick my goals up on my wall. You can stick your schedule up on your wall. Anything, just use masking tape. Don't use sellotape because it'll rip your walls off and your mum will shout at you. So just create the schedule right now as your actionable step. Get it done, get it out the way, and then just follow it routinely. Now, number 4 we are moving on to workout split. So when you can't just go in to the gym on your first day and have no idea what you're doing. I did this for a long time, and you've got to do a specific routine of exercises. Like you've got to do the same exercises for each session. So when I first started, I just randomly went in and went on all the machines. I didn't even know what the machines did. I'd just be like, okay, this one I'm just doing this. Okay, this one I'm doing this. Okay, I know that one does my biceps because I'm not an idiot. Well, what does this one do? I'll do it anyway. And I didn't have like any sort of routine. This is the most important part about the gym. It's just routine. You want to be a robot. You just want to get things done consistently. Consistency is, of course, the most important thing. The same with your diet, the same with your sleep, everything. If you want to make a habit of something, if you want to progress in something, you have to habitually implement it into your life. So you want to create this workout split. There is so many different types. There's upper lower, there is the Arnold split, there's like shoulders and arms, there is like full body. But the one I like to do is, if I can remember it, back and biceps. So that is on one day. So you do back and biceps. And then on the second day, you do oh my God, my brain. Chest and triceps on one day, and then legs and shoulders. Loads of people hate legs and shoulders because they think you should just do all legs on one day, but I don't think so, because you have 2 body parts for each like day essentially. So that is only a 3-day split. So obviously I used to do that for my 6-day a week training, but now I just do it for a 4-day. So I do it in like a cycle. So say I went on Monday, I always like skip out a day. So I go Monday, rest, Wednesday, rest, Friday, rest, Sunday, Monday, rest. So you get the idea. So it moves in like this cycle. So I would go Monday, back and biceps, Tuesday, rest, Wednesday, chest and triceps, Thursday, rest, Friday, legs and shoulders, Saturday, rest, Sunday, back and biceps. And so that cycle has repeated itself, right? So I'll teach you exactly what exercises to do. So all you're gonna do is just copy my workout split, because that's what worked for me. You could try other ones, but this is what works for me, because you're not targeting like the same muscles and everything. And like it is, because say for example you were to do like chest and then you were to do shoulders, your shoulders are like, what's the word, are used essentially whilst you're doing your chest. So they'd already be like a little bit fatigued, so you wouldn't get the most amount of activation out of them. So it's very important to have this workout split to make sure that you are, once again, staying consistent over a period of time. And if you're doing the exact same exercises, then you can track them on an app, or you can write it down, and then you can see that, oh, I've made progress in that exercise. If you're randomly switching up your exercise and going from like one to another, and then I'm trying this and trying that, then you can't like consistently track if you've made progress or not, right? So it's very important to do the exact same exercises for a long period of time. Now, moving on to the exercise you should be doing. I'm going to show you exactly how I grew my biceps from this to this, and my back from this to this. So I'm just going to quickly show you every single exercise we'll be doing in this workout, and then I'll just walk you through them. So for example, here I'll walk you through exactly how to do the exercise so you don't look like a neek in the gym, a newbie. Right, and also I do abs on this day, so you can add it if you want, little added bonus. So this is an app called Lift Off that I use. You can use it if you want, download it on the App Store, whatever, it's free. I'm not sponsored. So for back, it's a little bit all over the place, but we've got lat pull down, we have dumbbell row, and we also have chest supported dumbbell row. And then for abs, you've got machine seated crunch, captain's chair leg raise. And for biceps, we have dumbbell reverse curl, preacher curl, and incline dumbbell curl. Every single set, every single exercise, we'll be doing 2 sets, 1, 2. And then I like to train in the 4 to 7 rep range, training heavy, but also keeping correct form and going to failure on every single set. But it's up to you. You can train 8 to 12 if you want to, or train higher than that, I don't mind. Personally, I've seen the most development in 4 to 7, so take that as you want. Right, let's get into it nice and quickly, shall we? Biceps. So this is exactly the order that I do them in to maximize things. Like if you do back first, I find that my biceps get a little bit involved and it just messes it up. So I like doing the smaller muscle group of biceps first. But it's up to you. So this is incline dumbbell curl. However, I'm not using a bench. You see, most people do it on a bench where like they literally just sit back on a bench and then do the curls. But I find that doing it on the lat pull down, I know it's a bit weird, it's amazing, right? So let me just skip through this. So first of all, you've got to pull the thing that goes on top of your knees. You've got to pull that all the way up, like literally max it out, right? Because it's got to be on the back of your triceps. That's where you're going to rest your arms. Okay, so you pick the dumbbells, put them on your knees, obviously, and then, sorry, my mate walked in at the same time. So this is how you dismount, right? So you go back into it and lean back. So you want to stick your chest out nice and far forward. You want to keep your arms back completely lengthened, so completely straight like this. Okay, you see how, I know it's not the best angle, but my arms aren't like slightly bent. You know, I'm doing half reps like this, right? I want to go all the way to, basically, I want to push my forearm there, I want to push it backwards, like I'm flexing my arm backwards, right? I'm trying to break my arm. That's when you know you're in the lengthened position. Because otherwise, I'll get onto that later. So just like any bicep curl, on the way up, you want to go all the way to the top, squeeze your forearm into your bicep, so literally squeeze it as far as possible into your bicep, and then slowly lowering it down. Notice the tempo. I'm not like going all the way up and all the way down really quickly, just nice and slow contraction. And then see there where I breathe in and go like that. Breathe through your nose if you can. I know I just breathe through my mouth, but breathe through your nose if you can. And on the way down, that is when I'm flexing my tricep. You see how I'm pushing my forearm that way, backwards. See, just like that. And that puts your bicep in the lengthened position. And that you don't want to just like let it drop and just have your arm sort of dangling there. You still want to control it whilst pushing your forearm backwards. And you'll know if you're doing it right. Stick your chest out as normal and then go back into the curl right to the top. And this is the tempo that I want you to go at. Squeeze at the top and lower it back down. Squeeze at the top, and I am kipping a little bit, which is sort of when I use momentum. Try to limit this as much as possible. You want a little amount of momentum as possible, right? So you'll see I do it a little bit here, which is a mistake. So yeah, so I'll go like that and move my arms a little bit. Try and make it so your arm, that's why I use this pad on the lat pull down, because it completely isolates your arm. Right, so all the way down, nice. And make sure you do a little bit of a squeeze at the top, like as in hold it for about half a second. So instead of just going up and straight back down again, go all the way to the top, squeeze, and then back down again, yeah? So you want to really slow this stuff down, because people, personally, I just think, I'm doing all like the bro science, I don't know the exact science behind it, but essentially, I notice way more gains when I do things slowly and more controlled. Because that way, if you start kipping, you start throwing your arms upwards to trying to get the reps. Sure, you might get a little bit of activation in your bicep, but mostly it's just like your back or your rear delts or something, you know, getting involved when you're like trying to thrust your arm up. So if you really isolate your biceps, you'll see that my biceps are what give out. In fact, I switched to one arm, but my biceps give out, right? Which is what you want. You want to train your biceps to failure. You don't want to train your whole body to failure, right? So nice and isolated. And what I find is that when I'm at about, say I've got about half a rep left in the tank, right? So after this rep here, this one here, I'm like, okay, see, I literally failed that rep. And at that point, when you're gonna fail a rep, I switch to one arm. So from 2 arms to 1 arm. And for some reason, I can just get another rep. I don't know why. Still having that same tempo, nice and controlled. Then into the other arm, up, you have to really, really tense it. And then at this point, I think I fail. Or no, I think I get 1 more rep on my right arm than on my left arm, which is probably not a good thing. Yep, I failed that one. But see how I'm kipping a little bit, but I'm keeping my arm nice and concentrated. Right, now on to preacher curl. So if you've got a preacher curl machine, then that's fantastic. So you may have seen the video online where somebody tears their biceps on preacher curl. And what I was talking about before, if you don't do that lengthened position thing, right, if you don't go right to the bottom of the movement there, the bottom of your bicep isn't strong. You haven't grown the muscle, you haven't strengthened your bicep in that lengthened position. So when you go all the way to the bottom, like this, right, like all the way to the bottom, your bicep and your tendon and everything isn't strong, because if you're doing half reps, you haven't trained it in that fully lengthened position. And obviously if you put too much weight on, your bicep may be strong, but not in that position. So it's just completely overloading your bicep and it could tear. So that's why you need to go completely to the end of the movement. Same with here, you want to go all the way down to the bottom, making sure it's nice and controlled. I could have gone a little bit slower, and you see how my tricep flexes. Again, I'm moving my forearm, pushing it back into this, you know, the part of the machine or whatever. And then nice on the way up, nice and fast, squeeze a little bit at the top, and then slow back down. See tricep flexing right there, all the way down. And obviously, when I go down on the eccentric, which is when I'm going down, I breathe in, I go. This is when I was still breathing through my mouth. Breathe through your nose, it's difficult at first, but it's way better for you. And it helps you get more reps, I find. And then push out, go, blow out on the way up, like that. And you can see I'm sort of like, you can see my breath. Maybe I'm not doing it properly there. And Bob's your uncle, you've just done preacher curls. And now moving on to reverse hammer curls or reverse easy bar curls, whatever you want to call them. This is basically the complete opposite of this movement, but you still want to use the same thing. So get the easy bar. Also, I forgot to mention on this preacher curl, I like having my hands on this inner section right there. See if I can zoom in. This part right there, okay? So you don't want them too close, but you don't want them all the way at the side, right? In fact, on preacher curl, you want to have your hands on this bit right here. So on the V shape, so this V, yeah, you want your left hand there, your right hand there. But on this one, you want to have your hands on the outside. So on the, like if this is an M, right? You want it on the right at the end, yeah? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna see how my thumbs are right on the top, so they're not clasping them like this, they're on the top. It depends what you like doing, but I find this involves my forearms a lot more. On back, I always do that. I always keep my thumbs on top. I don't keep them clasped underneath because otherwise that activates my forearms, my biceps. So make sure you just test out and see how it feels. And essentially it's just a reverse curl. So you're just curling upwards. So you start out at the bottom, your hands are facing as if they're facing down like this. If you can see, my palm is facing that way and my knuckles are that way, as you can see. And then you want to curl it up to the top and then squeeze for half a second and then slowly back down. Flexing that, you can really see the flexion of the tricep there. See how I flex my tricep? And then all the way up to the top, squeeze for half a second, slowly back down. Every curl is basically the same, it's just a little bit different. See if I go to failure right here, I think I do. Yep, I can't do any more reps, like I physically cannot do any more reps, so I put it down. Right, now moving on to back. I love a good bit of back exercises. So to start off with, I used to do all like the machines and everything, but now I've just moved on to these dumbbells and they're so nice. So this is single arm dumbbell row. So essentially, you can't see it here, but the bench is flat. So you just want a normal bench. You don't need a Smith machine. You just need a bench and dumbbells. A bench is completely flat like this, and then I like to move, like the seat, I like to move it upwards just so I can put my hand on it. You'll see that here. So, as you can see, it's a little bit up, so I put my right arm, so I'm training my left arm here. I put my right arm on the seat, I put it down just so I can stabilize myself. I put my knee on the flat part of the bench, so I'm sort of kneeling over. And this is the part which you really need to focus on. So, if you want to train the middle part of your back, then you have the dumbbells out wide. So, you have the dumbbells going out like this, right? So you're flexing your back like this. If you literally do this in real life, you'll feel it. You'll feel it in the middle of your back. But if you want to train your lats, which is what I want to do here, which is like this part of you, and gives you that width in your back, then you want to train them at like a 45-degree angle like this. So literally, if you go like this, you will feel it in your lats, just like that. And this is what I'm doing here. So you want to let the dumbbell all the way to the bottom of the movement here. I'll go over that in a second. And then you want to lift up, just like this. And the top of the dumbbell, so not the back, but this bit of the dumbbell, you want that to touch just under your lower chest. When you bring it up, really emphasize that lat engagement. Literally think, like the mind-muscle connection, think about your lats moving and contracting, and wait until that touches the top of your, or the bottom of your chest. Hold it for half a second, then slowly release it back down. And when you go to the bottom, make sure to control it all the way. You don't want to just let it drop, because that'll just, hurt. And you want to let it go all the way to the bottom there. And then you want to roll your shoulder forward. So literally you go out like this, and then you roll it forward. See how it rolls forward a little bit, and then go back into it and contract all the way up to the top and touch the bottom of my chest. And of course, you've got to do this on both arms. So you do it on this arm. Sorry, this is crazy quality. There we go. All the way to the top, and then I think I'm done at this point. You'll see failure. Yep, done. And then you'd move on to the other arm and complete that. So as I said, I wanted to train my lats in this clip. Here I want to train my traps, which is the middle part of your back. So, as I was talking about the grips, essentially, looks a bit mad, but when I go up to the top, you'll see that my arms are, you can't really see it from this angle, but try and make your arms like this. So when I'm going upwards, it literally goes like this. So on the other one, you are going like this, and then on this one, out to the side, out wide. So for this, it looks like a mental setup, but you want the bench, you want this, it doesn't really matter about the seat, but this you want to, I think it's a 45-degree angle, yeah? So it's literally just like this. And you want to, it depends on the exact bench you've got at your gym, but mine have wheels literally right here. I don't know if you can see them, but there's wheels there and there's a wheel on that side as well. It's very small, but just so you can move the bench. And I like to fit my 2 feet right in front of it, so my feet are together like this and my legs are together, and that way I can really sort of like lock into the set, right? I feel really like in the set. And then I literally just fall down. In fact, you'll see me get into it right here. So pick your dumbbells up. You'll have to go lighter on this than on the other one, or at least I do, because my middle back isn't as good. And you'll see I put my feet in between these 2 parts, just like this, and then I literally drop myself onto this part of the bench, onto this top part of the bench, just like that. I literally drop and get those get those pecs right on there. I like getting it about middle chest, maybe lower chest. I don't like putting it on my upper chest, but about middle chest you want to do it. Find a spot that's comfortable, and you want to get to the point where you're literally dangling. Your arms are literally dangling completely vertical to the floor, right? So you don't want them out here, you don't want them back here, you want them completely vertical. And this is where I roll my shoulders forward. So you can see this is where I'm getting prepared, and then rolling of the forwards, rolling of the shoulders forward, and you see the top of your back sort of sticks out a little bit, just like that. You look like Hunchback in Notre Dame, and then right up to the top. So you might, I notice that sometimes I kip a little bit, which is a problem, but you get up to the top, completely like right angle like this, so not 45 degrees before, 90 degrees up to the top, flexing that upper back as hard as possible. I could have moved forward a little bit more there because I'm sort of like at this angle, you can see. But you want it to be sort of as far over as possible, leaning over as much as possible. And flexing the upper traps just like that. And then slowly moving them down, and then flexing the shoulders, rolling them forward, and then all the way up to the top. That was a terrible rep. Nice and slow. Remember to keep it as slow and as steady as possible, just like that. Up and down. This is the point where I reach failure, I think. Yep, cannot do any more. I'm trying, and that's me done. And you literally have to push yourself off with your chest to get off it, like that, like push it off, and then you're fine. Do excuse me, instead of lat pull down, I do cable row. That's what I meant to put in here. So cable row, it depends if you've got an actual row machine, like as in like a proper cable row machine that's built for this. But instead, if you don't have one, my gym doesn't have one, I just use the cable. This is the cable machine right here. And what I do is you can use any sort of attachment, but make sure it's at 45 degrees. So for here, I've got 2 D handles I've just connected onto this carabiner right here. So I've connected these 2 up, or you could use like one of the grips for the lat pull down that's sort of like a triangular shape about this width. You want to sit down. I like to put a 20 kg plate there just so I can put my heels on something. You'll see it in a minute. So here, see how I put my heels just on the plate there, or you can use like some sort of bench or anything like that, right? Anything that stabilizes your feet. And you see how these are 2 different D handles which I'm holding. And again, when you go forward, make sure your back is nice and straight, you know, straight enough right here. And when you go forward, you want to roll your shoulders forward, as I said before, just like that, and then pull back at a 45-degree angle. So at this point, I am like this. Hold for half a second. See that little tense there, and then slowly lower it back down. And you see it's almost 2 movements. So at this point, your back is straight, you know, near enough. It's very close. Mine could have been better there. And at this point, when your arms get fully extended, at this point where they're almost completely fully extended, that is when you roll your shoulders forward. See, it's like two movements. It goes from straight to roll shoulders forward and then back like this. And that is a beautiful contraction. You feel this so good in your back. It's amazing. I start to fail at this point. Also, I like having a little bit of a bend in my leg rather than completely straight. It just feels better. Again, for a lot of these things, whatever just feels the best, whatever contraction you feel is the best, go for that one. But make sure these are, or depending on what you want to do, if you want to target your middle traps, again, you have your grips at a 90-degree angle rather than a 45-degree. So you'd be pulling like this rather than like this. But for me, I'm training my lats, so I'm doing it at a 45-degree angle. And here I'm about to reach failure, so I'm really pushing, really pushing. Would you count that as a rep? I don't think I would. It's close. Fail, and I'm done. Let them down, show off that juicy tricep, and that is back done. Now we're going to move on to abs. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I like doing abs on this day for some reason. So I only do 2 exercises for abs, and one of them is this cable crunch machine. You've got 3 sets of abs. I don't have a picture to show you my abs, but you have, like, in a 6-pack, you have 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the bottom. You train the top 4 by doing this sort of crunching movement, and then you train the bottom 2 by doing this movement where you lift your legs up. So for the top 4 abs, you would do a machine like this, depending on what you've got. So this is hard to learn, but essentially you want to really grip the top of these things. Most people put their hands in here. I don't like that. Really grip these things into your shoulders so they're nice and tight. And then, oh, you can't actually really see it here, but I put my feet behind the seat. There's like a little connecting part that connects to the floor. I put it behind so I'm like locked in. I'm like totally locked in. My feet are locked into the floor almost. So it's really nice and tense. So you can sort of see I put my feet behind here and I cross them over just like this. And then, of course, you just want to do the crunch. So I'll go from this part. So crunch down. My abs are terrible, by the way. And really focus on crunching them. Like imagine actually tensing your abs and tensing them downwards. Rather than like going completely forward and moving your whole upper torso down. Focus on contracting them abs themselves. And what would do if you were trying to crunch your abs and it literally, you would just go down. After about 5 reps, well, about 4 reps, you feel it like hell. It's pain. So you tense it for a little bit just while you're there and then slowly move back up. And then when you get to the top, I always look at this pin just before it's about to hit that next weight there. And then at that point, I sort of breathe in, I take my breath, and you can see my stomach sort of contracts inwards like that. So I'm sort of getting breath, breathing in, and then I push out with my breath, push down, get all the way to the bottom, contract, and slowly move backwards, just like that. Done. And you can see it really hurt. You have to, it takes about it takes about 3 seconds before you can breathe. So it's a good pain. I kind of like it for some reason, not in a psychopathic way. But now we're moving on to the final movement, which is just leg raises. Now, essentially, if you've got this kind of dip machine or whatever, and you've got like a back thing here, or you could do it on a bar. So if you've got a pull-up bar, I think these are actually better than this, to be honest. But hanging off a pull-up bar and doing the exact same movement, just hanging instead of like sitting here. So you want to have your back on the rest here, and then you want to sort of curl over a little bit, like hunch over a little bit. See, I'm sort of hunched. So rather than being completely straight and completely vertical, hunch over a little bit. And that's like pelvic tilt or something like that. And basically it means your pelvis moves like forward a little bit and you can engage your abs a little bit more. So you don't need your legs completely straight, have a little bit of a bend in them. Push up just like this. And you really want to push your knees into your abs and really contract them. It's all about the contraction of the abs, not about the movement of like the hips or the torso or anything like that. It's the abs that need to contract. And what I do now, because I've gone up in reps, I hold a weight. So I put a weight in between my 2 feet there. So like the flat part of the dumbbell, if I go back up here somewhere, the flat part of that dumbbell there, I put in between my feet there. So the flat is on the top, there's the bar going through the middle, and then there's the bottom underneath there. And I lift that up, obviously, and lift that down. And I go to max reps on here, so this is probably about 7 on here, I don't know. And then once I'm failing right there, that's when I switch to these. So these are like mini crunches, right? So they're a little bit less taxing, but also I find the burn after these are insane. So the exact same as you did before, but instead of having your legs outwards, you're just lifting your knees into your abs. And I think these are actually better for your abs, but I just do the other ones anyway. Don't know if that's exactly what you should do, but I like these. And then you're done. I don't want to waste your time in this video. This is exactly how I grew my chest from this to this, and my triceps from this to this in about 3 years or so. So in this video, we'll go over, this is like a little workout plan that I've made. So this is the one I follow. So we've got incline dumbbell press. This is for chest, by the way. Incline dumbbell press, cable fly, dips, single arm tricep push down, and then I do line tricep extension, but I'm going to use a different example for that. So I'm literally just going to walk you through exactly how I do them, show you the exact form and all the like technique and everything, so you know exactly what to do when you first walk into the gym. So for chest, we start off with the incline dumbbell bench press, and also for every single exercise I do 2 sets, as you can see, set 1, 2, and I train to absolute failure, so to the point where I cannot move the weight, and that is between 4 and 7 reps. So I train heavy because that's where I've noticed the most amount of muscle growth. Whether you want to train 8 to 12, I don't mind, it's up to you. So as you can see, I'm getting 7 reps, 5 reps, 7 reps, whatever. So for chest, incline dumbbell bench press. So when this loads, so you're going to place the bench at this 30-degree angle. So not 45 like this, not like that angle, not flat, not 15 degrees, which would be slightly inclined, which I did for a long time actually. 15 degrees is not the right incline, 30 degrees is. So about this, right? So not totally 45, not 15, just in the middle there at 30, as you can see right there. And then the bench, have it 1 incline upwards. I don't know what the degrees is, but you can see it's just slightly like the first incline you can get. So then you're going to grab the 2 dumbbells and you're going to place them on your knees, right? So on your legs. And you're going to make sure you get a nice firm grip on the handles. And when you go back, you don't want to, what you want to do is thrust your knees backwards into yourself, and it will put the dumbbells onto your chest. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So when I go back, give me a second. Hurry up, mate. Here we go. See, I thrust my thighs into my chest, so I bring the dumbbells into myself, right? Because most people, what a lot of people do, a lot of beginners, they just try and put the dumbbells onto their chest, and that uses lots of energy and it can like injure your shoulders or whatever. But if you use that, then it's literally just momentum pushing backwards into your chest, just like that. And also you can do one at a time, like one leg at a time. I don't personally like that. I like doing that on shoulder press where it's like vertical like this. But when I'm lying down doing chest press, I like doing both knees at the same time, right? So thrust into yourself so you get to this point, and then you literally just want to push up, right? So you use it, you're kipping, you're just using momentum to get it up. This is just the starting position. This is not actually the real set yet. So you can use whatever you need just to get it into position. If you've got a spotter, they can put their hands under your triceps there and push it up, just like that. So I'm now ready to start the set. So what you're going to do, your knees are supposed to be slight, like this angle, like straight down, and your feet are trying to push into the ground. It's called leg drive, and essentially you want to push down into the ground like you're trying to push the ground downwards. Right, so you might not be able to see it in this clip, but my thighs are like totally like activated and locked into the floor, right? And that's leg drive. That gives you power. And also you have a little bit of an arch in your back here. You don't want it to be completely flat on the bench. You do want a little bit of an arch, but you don't want your butt to be going miles into the sky, right? So you want a little bit of an arch in your back and keep your butt on the bench. Now, when you go down, you want it to be at a 45-degree angle. Because what most people do when they do anything like this, they do it at this angle, so they go up and down like this, right? So they go completely, in fact I'll move back a bit, they go completely like this. you want actually for it to be like this. You can see how my arms are at a slight angle. They're not, otherwise they'd be going down in this kind of path, right? But instead they're at an angle. You don't want them to be super close to your chest. You want them to be at 45-degree angle. So not wide, not too close, 45-degree. Go down, and you want to take a slight pause at the bottom. Don't just be going like up and down dead quick. Just slight pause at the bottom and then thrust back up again. You can see slight pause. Maybe I could have done it a little bit longer. And also you can see I slightly kipped. Kipped basically just means like using momentum. See how I used a bit of leg drive there. Maybe just don't do that. Try and limit the amount of kipping you do. Okay, so you can see I do it a little bit, but lots of people like thrust out like this, and obviously that's going to target other muscles, and it's just going to take the emphasis off your chest and triceps. So it's like, well, why would you do that in the first place? Now, when you go down, you don't want to half rep. When you do what I see a lot of people doing is they go down and they only go down to about here and then they go back up again. You want to, depending on the size of the dumbbell, obviously, because smaller dumbbells have like this, the face of the dumbbell here is smaller, so it takes longer to get down to your chest. So you'd be at like this position with your arms, which is not good. You don't want to be at like a complete 45, like a 90-degree angle like this, right? Because you can see I get a little bit more depth in my chest if I lean just a little bit beyond that. I find the nicest stretch I get is when you get to 90 degrees and go a little bit further like that. As you can see, I'm not completely 90 degrees here, like towards my body. I'm just slightly downwards, and that allows the face of the dumbbell to just touch my upper pec right there, as you can see. So you go up and it slightly touches my pec there, and then up, like the front of my shoulder, like my front delt. Because lots of people only go to about there, and it's like, well, you haven't even reached the bottom of your chest. Sure, it's like 90 degrees, but you haven't actually gone to the bottom of your chest. So that's what I personally do. That's what I've found to be the best for muscle growth and just activation in your chest. Sure, you can, ego lift, and you get to the point where you're like lifting like 50s or whatever. But see, look how long that pause was there. Look how long that pause was. The amount of activation and the pump you get from that is ridiculous. Look at that. Look at that pause. I mean, yeah, I failed that point. That's probably why. And also, when you go down, it's basically the opposite of how you went up. So I failed at this point. I can't do any more. Don't drop them down to the floor, because I see loads of people doing them, just dropping them, because that can smash your phone if your phone's like on the floor. It can roll over and land on your foot or something, and it can just cause a shoulder injury, right? Because if you're letting down these big weights like that, then it's just not good for you. So to exit safely, you want to bring your quads back up, just like this. And if you just move down and put the weight onto your knees, you don't even have to do anything. Literally, just gravity just takes you and it just lifts you forward like that. I didn't even do anything. I just pulled my knees up and put the weights onto it, and just momentum takes you like that, and then you're up and done. That is how you do incline dumbbell press. Done. That is for your upper chest. So now we are moving on to dips. So I like to use weights for this. You can see I've got some weights, but obviously some people can't do dips right now. You might not be able to do dips right now. So if you can't, then I've got some alternatives later. Let me just delete this slide because that's not supposed to be there. So, all right. So I just realized that one of my clips is just not here. So what I wanted to do is have these two exercises, like I've just showed you. Well, I'm about to show you dips. And then I've got this one where on the cable machine it's halfway, and you basically do a chest fly like this. So I don't know where the clip's gone, it's just disappeared, which is fantastic. So I'll show you how to do these two alternatives to the other exercises. Like these two you can do instead of these two. And then basically you're just gonna have to do it in between. It's very self-explanatory, but I'll get onto that. So that is my mistake, I apologize. But for dips, as you can see, I've got weights. If you can't do dips, then move on to the alternative that I'll talk about in a second. But for dips, how many times can you say dips? What you want to do is just see how I'm sort of tilting over, right? If I go back to the start, instead of going straight down and your body being completely straight, see how I sort of hunch over? What I do, it's hard to explain really, but what I do is I lift my knees upwards, so I'm almost like crunching my abs a little bit, right? So I lift my knees upwards and I hunch over like this, literally like get down into like a crunching position. See that? I'm now sort of in a crunching position. And when you go down, instead of all the emphasis being on your front delt, on your shoulder, it is now on your chest. And it just feels phenomenal. Because lots of people say that, you know, it hurts the shoulders or whatever. But I find that this is just the fix for it, right? And so when you go down, you don't want to stop. You don't want to go too far down. You want to go at a 90-degree angle just like this. Any further down, it'll hurt your shoulder. Any less than that, sometimes people go to about there. It's like you haven't reached the bottom of the movement. So, you know, stop being a wuss. Go all the way down and then pause and then go all the way back up again. And don't lock out your joints. So you see here when I'm at the top of the movement, my arm is still a tiny bit bent. It's not completely straight. Because otherwise you'll just put emphasis on your joints and it'll just, you know, hurt your joints. So like, why would you do it? Nice and controlled. Again, in every single set that we do, I don't want you to just be like, rep it out really quick. Take it nice and slow. Nice and slow. See the rate at which I'm going? Nice and slow. I could do a little bit more of a pause at the bottom. See, that was perfect. That was a perfect rep right there. If you could follow that, then you'd be living, right? So nice and slow down, just like that. Perfect. So now onto some alternatives. Instead of dips and incline dumbbell bench press, and they're both just on the cables. So if you've got a cable machine, what you want to do is get these handles. So you might have, you know, 2 different types of handles, whatever. Try and get a grip or a handle that looks like this, so you can basically just wrap your hand around it. Attach that onto the little carabiner right there, and then if you want to target your lower chest, which is instead of this exercise, then you put them at the top. So you have them literally just do like a starfish, and wherever your hands end up, that's where you put the cable. So let it load. There we go. So I've got this little step here that I just sort of step on and push myself into position, which is handy, but you know, if you don't have that, you don't have that, it's fine. So you can see it depends on how much weight you're doing and the type of cable machine you've got. But I like put emphasis, I pull back, use momentum, and then go down as if I'm doing a dip. So I pull it back and go over it like that. Otherwise, if you just move it down, it'll like really wreck your shoulders and everything. See, so I'm using momentum to get in position. So I actually forgot what I was doing here because I used to do this different variation of this and I didn't really like it. So let me just get into the right position. Okay, so what a lot of people do is they go really wide and their arms are basically like this. They're like straight and they're going like this. I don't personally like that. I don't personally like that. Instead, I figured out a new way where it's hard to see from this angle, but normally you'd be standing out here. You'd take about 3 steps away from the machine and start doing the exercise. But here I am pretty much right in front of it. I know you can't tell, but my back foot is in line with the cable machine there, right? So I am literally just standing forward. I've not stepped forward, I'm just standing forward. You get into this lunge position with your dominant foot forward or whatever feels best. And when you go up, you don't want to be flying. Like, this is called high to low cable flies, and then this is low to high. So you bring it up, and then the one I was going to teach you in a second, which I've lost a clip of, is in the middle like this. So you've got high to low, which does your low chest, low to high, which does your upper chest, and then middle, which does your middle chest. Wherever it ends up is what part of your chest it does. So for this is high to low. As you can see, that does my lower chest. Now, it's very difficult to explain this. But essentially, when you go up, you want your arms to be slightly bent. And you want to, it's very difficult to explain. Instead of going like out to the side like this, you want to go, I'm going to stand up for this and everything, right? In fact, let me get the 1x zoom on this thing. Okay, so you want to go up like this, almost like you're going to do, you know, like Hulk, like when he goes like that. It's basically the same movement, right? So you go up and then you close it down. You really like close down like this, like you're doing a most muscular type of thing, right? You go down. Let me get the 1.4 back on, that's better. See, I'm doing this like most muscular, and keep your hands in this grip where they're like this. So at no point do you want to go like this, because you don't want to be pressing down like that. You see how my hands are like this, right? You don't want that. You want them to be like this. So at all points, you're pressing down like this, and you're really squeezing your chest down. You're going like, see how it's like flexing, going down and flexing them together, almost pushing your biceps inwards to squeeze that chest. It's very difficult to understand, and it's very difficult to get right. Luckily, this door is reflective, so I can see my reflection in this mirror to see if I'm doing the form right, which is great. Sometimes I look over there, but you can see I get up to that sort of 90 degree angle like this. I don't go all the way up because that'll just knack your shoulders. Don't go too far back. Push down and reach the bottom where your hands touch, just like that. Nice and simple. So really get that form down, really use that, really train to failure. Yeah, look, you can see me looking in the mirror. It's great. Well, not the mirror, the door. But I can see if I'm doing the form right. And then eventually you reach failure. God, I did loads of reps on this. But you can, because this is an isolated movement really, compared to like bench press or something, you can really train to failure on this one. Also try and breathe through your nose if you can. Sometimes I breathe through my mouth, it's not good. It's better to breathe through your nose. But you can see you really go to failure. And at that point it's like, oh my God, it's so painful. And then we've got upper lower. No, low to high, we've got low to high, that's what I meant to say. Low to high, I would always say do dips instead. But sometimes people can't do dips, right? It is what it is. So instead, you can do this. So you put them not completely to the bottom. I think mine's on like 8. Like there's a number on this thing that goes up. 1 is down here and then like 30 is up there or whatever. I put it on 8. So it's quite low. But what you want to do is basically the inverse of what you did up there. Right? So you just walk out just like this. Almost like you're about to do a bicep curl. So your hands are out to the side as if you're going to do a bicep curl. But instead you lift them straight up. I like to keep my arms bent. Lots of people say don't do that, but if I keep my arms straight, I find it's the exact same as a front raise like this, right? So I feel it completely in my front delt. But instead, you just want to have your arms slightly bent just like this at like, what's that? 45 degree angle, I guess? Yeah, probably about 45 degree angle, and I feel that more in my chest. You are always going to feel it in your front delt. This is an exercise where you can't get rid of that. So it's you know, it is what it is really, but you still get good activation in your upper chest. That's why I would always say do dips instead, because on dips you get way more emphasis on your chest. And again, it's just that lunge forward. See how I'm not actually in line with this anymore. I'm not in line with this like I was on that one. So this one you actually do take a step forward and then, you know, go to failure. You want to go all the way back. You don't want your arms to be all the way back like this, so you're like in like a like Superman type of thing. You want it to go slightly behind your back. See how it's slightly behind my back, just until you feel the stretch in your chest. You normally feel it there, like in that part between your shoulder and your chest. That's where I feel the stretch. And you want to go up to the top. And what I would say, I'm really sorry I haven't got the clip, but let's find it in here. You've got normal cable fly, so it's in between these two. So you put them at exactly where your arms are. Like if you put your hands out in front of you, move them to the side, that is where you put the cable at the end of there, right? And literally you just take a lunge forward. You do want to take a lunge, or you can get a bench and sit on the bench and do it like that. But what you want to do is get your arms like this and bring them out to the side. So it's essentially what we did here. So with that sort of that movement, right? So not completely wide and flat like that, not like this. You want them to be like that and squeezing those pecs together, just like that. You can, if you do it right now, you can feel it in your chest there when you squeeze them together. Sorry, I don't have the clip for that. That is my mistake, but I'm sure it's self-explanatory, and when you go and do it, you'll probably figure it out. So, or you can look up another guide that's way better than mine. This video is terrible. On to triceps, shall we? So the guy who was filming this, he's so annoying. He puts his hand in front of the camera about 1 million times. What a guy. Anyway, triceps, we have got single arm tricep push down. So you might have seen people do this with like a rope or I don't know, any other attachment, but I find that doing it with single arm is so much nicer. So it depends on your cable machine. On my cable machine, I don't know if you can see it. In fact, if we go a little bit later, it's got this, you see that? I can put my hand on the cable. Say this is the black part there. I can put my hand around the cable like this and it rests just nicely on that the end there. So sometimes I know that cable machines don't always have these, so maybe you use some sort of attachment where you use a handle, like the handles that we were using before, but instead of them being in that like triangular shape, like how do you make a triangle? I don't know. Instead of a triangle shape, you sort of move it like this, so it's just a bit awkward. So try your best to get into this position if you can. And what you want to do is slightly, oh my god, this guy, this is going to be so annoying to show. Oh my days. Okay, this is a bit better, just ignore the finger. So he did mean to do that, by the way. He did mean to be annoying, so it is annoying. You want to slightly lean over, so you can see I'm slightly leaning over. I put my feet together just because I feel locked in. I put my left hand, well, whatever hand I'm not using, I put that on the cable machines for some stability. And then I put my arm out to the side. So literally, if you get your arm like this, like you're doing a, I don't know, like a hammer curl, for example, your arm is fixed into your body like this. You want to put it out about 45 degrees like this. Okay, so that's the path that you want to get, right? So not like completely in, not completely out, 45 degrees, just like that. There's a lot of 45 degrees in this kind of stuff. And then simply extend your arm. Don't lock out your joints completely like this. Get to about that position, right? So you're slightly bent a little bit in your arm. And then nice and slow, back up to the top. And try and focus on what I'm doing. This guy, oh, what my days. But I'm like, bruv, come on, man. So annoying. But obviously, because it's a single arm movement, you have to do the other arm. So it does take a while. It does take a very long while to get this done. But oh my god, bruv. There we go. Okay, we finally got some clean shots of it. And you can really get to failure on this because you can just put all your power into it. And when you know you're training to failure is when the machine starts shaking. Like you're literally like this. Like you're trying to get it out. And you're literally shaking. You'll see me do it here. See if I do it on this rep, I might do. Depending on how hard I train. Yeah, look, you can see it shaking there. That's when you know you're training hard. And you can do half reps. Look, and you have to do that. In fact, you don't even see it. You have to shake your arm because it hurts that much. So that's when you know you're training to failure on this one. Now, I would actually do... No way is he doing that. He's actually... Oh, wait, no, he's not. No, he's not. I was thinking that this guy in the background was doing the exercise that I wanted to show. But essentially, I would lie flat on this bench and get a easy bar, which is like... In fact, I'll just Google an easy bar. Easy bar. So it's like this, right? Like that. So it's like a weird shape, and you put your hand on this part. See that part there? That part there. Just like the outside part. And you lie flat on the bench. I'm sorry, this is a terrible tutorial. I don't even have the clips, but I never recorded me doing this. But you lie flat on the bench, and essentially when you're lying on the bench, you want to get that easy bar and push it into your face, like, well, not push it, but like let it down into your face like this, and see how my arms, this part of my arm is not moving. It's only my forearm that is moving, right? So it's literally just like every other exercise, but you just go down and up, and that trains the long head of your tricep. Let's get the tricep out. I don't know if you can see that. So you've got the part of the horseshoe. In fact, I've got a picture of my tricep, mate. What am I on about? I am terrible at these. So this is the short head of the tricep. That is the medial head of the tricep, which like connects the whole thing. And then you've got the long head of the tricep, which is the back, around there. So the first one, the one that was like that, with the guy who was pointing and put his finger in the picture, that is for your short head and sort of medial head. Medial head is if you do sort of like bench press, like close grip bench press. But that one sort of trains all the heads really, but it's emphasis on the short head. And then the one that I'm about to teach you, and the skull crusher where you lie flat on the bench and do that, that does your long head of the tricep. So very, very important, because your tricep makes up 2/3 of your arm. It's very important to have a big tricep. But in case you don't want to do that, because I never used to want to do that because I was terrified, you do this instead. So you get a rope. It's not as good as the exercise where you lie flat on the bench and do that. This is the path that you want to take, by the way. So into your face like this. So to the point where the bar just touches the top of your nose like that, and then push up. Go light enough, or just have a spotter to the point where you won't drop it on your face. It's called a skull crusher for a reason, but don't be scared. It's not as bad as you think. And then if you can't do that, or if you're too much of a wuss to try that, then go on this instead. So you get the rope attachment just like this. You put it, I have it on number 8. So the same position that you put this one on, if you do that. So just slightly down, so not completely at the bottom, about there, right? So not completely at the bottom, just about there. And you want to, it's really awkward to get up. So let me get to the point where I'm getting the cable. Yeah, so I'll get the cable. I'm standing straight in front of it, straight over it, and then I have to wrap it around my body. So see if I can explain how to do this. So just like that, and now I'm in position. So when you go up, this is my right arm, this is my left arm. I know you know that, but left arm goes over the top of the head, right arm comes round, I twist that way. So what way is that? I twist like that. I don't know how to explain how you twist like that, but yeah, left arm, non-dominant arm goes over the top of your head, right one comes round, and you twist your body like to the left. That's it, you twist left. It's very awkward to get up, but once you do it, it's good. Get up to the top of the movement. Let me do it one more time. So up, just like that. And then you want to get into this lunge position. I put my back foot pretty much on that part there. So I'm almost straight up, and I'm standing a little bit forward. I'm leaning a little bit forward like that. Right, so I'm not completely straight up, but I'm not completely lying down forward like this. I'm sort of, once again, just over the top of it, just like that. And then try and keep your elbows in as much as possible. This is actually how much I could get them in. Like normally they'd be completely out wide, but I try to keep my elbows in, and you only get about that much, right? You can't go like this, it just doesn't work. So that's why that one, where you do that, is so much better, the one on the flat bench. But this is the best I could do. Try and keep them as close as possible. And then once again, not locking out your joints, keep them slightly angled just like that. Nice and slow, go to the bottom, and then sort of go slower as you reach the bottom, and then push up, and then slowly go on the eccentric, which is the bottom. See how it slows down towards the bottom and then pushes up? And this is a very difficult movement. So at some point, it'll be dead easy, and then you'll just start failing instantly. Which you'll start noticing me. See, that was quite a difficult rep, and then I'll probably fail this rep. See, it just hits you like that. It's just instant death. And I probably fail on this one. Yeah, I'm using a bit of momentum there. I shouldn't do that. And then the way you got on to the movement, do the opposite of the way out, is what I find. So I'm like this, and yeah, I put my left arm over the top of my head and my right arm back. So it's very awkward to get out of this. But you can see I put my right arm round, just like that. And Bob's your uncle, you're done. That is exactly how I grew my triceps from this to this, and my chest from this to this. This is pretty much the exact workout I've been following, just a few minor tweaks to make it this good. But that's all I do. I do 3 exercises for my chest, one for my upper chest, one for my middle chest, one for my lower chest, and then two exercises for my tricep. One for my short head, one for my long head. That is it. Nice and simple. So follow that for the next 3 years, and you'll notice results. I grew my legs from this to this and my shoulders from this to this in about 3 years or so. And in today's video, I'm going to go through every single exercise. So we've got all of these here. We've got squat, leg extension, seated leg curl, cable lat raise, seated dumbbell shoulder press, machine calf raise, and cable reverse fly. And I'm going to go through each exercise so you know exactly how to do it, exactly how to do the form, so that when you go into the gym, you know exactly what you're doing. So to begin with, also I just want to mention we do 2 sets of every single exercise and train to failure on every single set, of course. So shoulders. To begin with, I like doing shoulders before legs because shoulders is less tiring, less stressful on your muscles, so it's a lot easier to get this done and out the way with first. So seated dumbbell shoulder press. This does the front part of your shoulder. You've got 3 heads to your shoulder. You've got the front delt, the side delt, and the rear delt, and that's what makes the like that 3D look. So you got rear delt, side delt, and front delt, just like that. And this does your front delt. So what you're going to do is you're going to get the bench at this incline. So is it 45 degrees, 60 degrees, something like that? But you basically want it at this kind of angle, right? And you'll know if it looks that angle. I think that's 45 degrees. And then you want to put your seat up by 1 incline, so it's literally like this, right? So it's like a letter L essentially. Then you want to place the dumbbells onto your knees and you're going to throw them up one at a time. So when I go down, I use momentum and throw one up at a time. As you can see, I don't, because some people just throw them up with their hands and that uses a lot of energy. So it'll tire you from your set and also you'll just get like a few injuries. But when you use your knees, just like this, it's complete momentum. So you can't really see it. Complete momentum. See that? So I don't even use any power in my arms at all, and they're immediately in this position. Now, once we're in this position here, make sure that your arms are at this 45-degree angle. You see how most people do them like this, straight up and straight down? You want to bring your elbows inwards. So they're like this. They're not coming out here at this like complete right angle to your body. You want them at a 45-degree angle. And also you want your arms to go down until you're just below, about there, just below a 90-degree angle. So say I'm coming down, some people do half reps where they go like this, right? And some people go all the way down. You don't want to get to this point, but you don't want to just do a half rep. So you want to go all the way down just where it passes the 90-degree mark. So you'll see how I do it. That was maybe a little bit too much. I normally pause around there now. See how it's slightly just past 90 degrees. And when you get to the bottom of the rep, you want to slightly pause for half a second. So when I go down, slight pause, and then back up. And you really want to use as much shoulder activation as possible. So don't be just like throwing the weight up like this, because it's just going to activate other muscles. You're going to get injuries. There's no point in really doing it. But when you use it, do it nice and controlled. You feel it all in your shoulders. You will naturally feel it a little bit in your chest, but that's just because it's an exercise that is kind of a compound movement. So just try your best to isolate your shoulders as best as possible. Use mind muscle connection, which basically means where you think about the muscle moving. And then on the way down, you want to do the exact opposite of how you got them up. So you're going to bring your knees upwards and you're going to catch the weight. Literally, if you just bring your knees up, then it'll just work. I don't know how the physics work on it. But as soon as I'm done, bring them up and it just does that and I'm automatically stood up. I don't know how it works. Just bring your knees up. That's all you need to know. Now, lots of people like to do lateral raises with the dumbbell, and that's fine. But I much prefer it with a cable. So if you've got one of these like hand cuff things that you can just wrap around your wrist, that's the best way. Or you can use like a handle, just like a grip that you can just hold. That's fine as well. Now, what we want to do, this is quite difficult to set up. So I put my left arm, so the arm I am not using obviously, on the bar of the cable, just so I've got something to stand on, something to lean on, like, you know what I mean. And then I've also stood at this kind of weird angle, so I'm slightly tilted, right? I'm not straight up, I'm slightly tilted in the way that I am facing away from this cable. And then of course we've got the cable round my wrist, and see how it's not totally at the bottom. It's just a little bit up. I like to put it on, I think it's number 5. I don't know what, your cable is probably different to mine, but I like to put it at number 5 on here. And then as you can see, if it would load, So you don't want your arm to be straight out. You don't want to be going up like this. In fact, let me put this baby in 1x zoom. So you don't want to be going up like this, okay? You want to slightly bend your arm inwards like this. So my arm is slightly bent. So it's not completely straight, it's slightly bent. And that's the line of path you want to go. But then what lots of people do, what I used to do, and possibly what I'm kind of doing in this shot here, when I do that, I tend to bring my arm in like this. So now I'm at this position rather than out here, right? So I've sort of brought it in, and that activates more of the front delt. So if you can, literally just put your arm out straight like this and bend it slightly. And that is the path that you want to go. And then just slowly let it down. Of course, for every single exercise in this video, you want to go very slow and controlled on the way down, pause for half a second at the top or bottom of the movement, wherever it may be, and then explode on the way up. Nice and controlled, and then straight back up, and then hold it for half a second, and then move back down, just like that. And you really want to emphasize this. Also, I like doing a drop set on this, so I do 2 normal sets, 2 top sets that I talked about, and then right at the bottom of the movement, right at the end of the 2 exercises. Sorry, it's been a long day. I haven't been very good at speaking today. My communication skills are not fantastic. When you get to the end of your 2 sets, that is when you perform a drop set, which essentially just means you lower the weight every single time you do another set. I think that's everything for this exercise. See there, that wasn't a great rep. See how my arm is almost 90 degrees, right? You don't want it to be like that. You want it to be slightly bent, but not completely 90 degrees like that. So that was a bad rep. And then of course, I don't know if I may do drop sets on this. If it would load, that would be fantastic. I don't think I do a drop set. Oh, I might do. Yeah, so just perform a little drop set just to burn it out at the end. Now, we are moving on to rear delt flies. So this is for your rear delts. So again, using the cuff link that we've got here, but it's a slightly different setup. So instead of having the cable down here, we're going to put it pretty much at the top. I have it like 2 below the top, right? So it's really high up. Essentially, you just want to put your arm out like this, like you're doing like a dab or something. Sorry, that was a bit cringe. You want to put your arm right up here like that, and that is the path. So wherever your hand ends up, that's where you're going to put it. And then it's pretty much the exact same movement, just the opposite way. So you're going to put it round quite far up your wrist. You don't want it right at the end, depending on the cuff link, because the cuff link I've got, it just feels not very nice. So I need to put it all the way up my arm to make it feel good. But essentially, you don't want to extend your arm like this. That's an extension. That is a fly, right? So we're trying to get it in this rear part of our shoulder. We don't want it in our tricep, because if you extend it, that is a tricep movement. So instead, you want to focus on keeping your arm in the complete same position whilst moving. I don't know, you know what I mean, right? So instead of extending your arm like this, you want to move your arm. I think that's a better way of putting it, right? So if you notice here, my arm is staying in this complete straight position, right? So it's slightly bent like before, like when we were doing the lat raises. But then I'm not extending my arm, I'm just moving it. That's all we're doing. And again, really focus. You might have to lower the weight on this, because otherwise it's difficult to feel the rear delt. But really slow that down. Then when you get to the bottom, pause for half a second, and then go back up. Lovely jubbly. And that's all it is. That's all for shoulders. And I think shoulders are one of, if not my greatest muscle group. So that's literally all I do, and that's all I've done for years. 3 exercises. Done. Now on to legs. The best part of the year, the best part of the day. So, squats. You don't have to do squats. I like to do some sort of compound movement, which basically means like a heavy lift where I'm using multiple muscles, all of my legs essentially, because you've got your glutes, you've got your hamstrings, you've got your quads, you've got everything, your thighs, sorry, you've got like lots of different parts of your leg. But I like doing compound movement where I use all of them, like a squat, or for example, a leg press. And then I like to go on to the isolation movements where I do like leg extension or something. So I'm just teaching squat in this one. You can do whatever you want. So this is what a good squat looks like when I actually set up. So you go under the bar. I'll teach this in a second, but just so you can see it first of all. Get into position, go down, and go up again. I could have gone a little bit lower on that, I think. Yeah, I could have gone a little bit lower. So essentially what you want to do, there are these little things on the side of this thing right here. See this big bar, and that's where you're going to just place the bar essentially. So you want this to be the right height. So when I go under it, I lunge underneath it. So I go into a lunge position like that, and I go under, and it's very difficult when you've never done squats before. Some people place them on their traps, which is like their upper part of their back there. In fact, I'll zoom in. So some people place it there, like on the top of their shoulder, so across there, right? Across there, just below their neck. Or what I like to do is place it across here, just like the bottom part of my shoulder towards my middle back. That's where I like to place it. It just feels comfortable. It's whatever feels comfortable, really. So lunge into position, and then I figure out the position. See, I sort of roll it into the position, and then I'm ready to go. I pick it up, and then I go from there. So when you try to decide the height of this, because otherwise you'd be like going really far down into the lunge, or you won't be able to actually pick it up off the rack because it'll just be too high, right? The bar will be too high. So literally just lift it up and out. So you go up and then out like that, and it comes out, and then you go in and down, and it slots into place just like that, depending on the squat rack you've got, of course. And then where I position my feet, okay, that's it. I thought there was more to that. So I literally just do shoulder width apart, just straight down, and then point the toes outwards slightly, just like that, nice and simple. And then the bar placement, say this is the middle of the bar, this black bit right here. See these rings here? It depends if you've got rings on your bar, but I like to put it sort of towards the middle. And yeah, just like that, towards the middle. So if we were looking on, you can't really see it on this bar, but if there was a bar that long, I put my hands here. Okay, so I'm not in the middle, I'm not really out wide, I'm sort of like in between. And then once you get into this position, you put your hands on like that, and then you've done the lunge position in, you put it under, you've gone under the bar, you put it onto your back, and that's when you push up and stand up just like this, shoulder width apart in terms of your foot placement, and then lower down, but you don't want to get to the point where your back rolls. You just have to see this, but like it's hard to explain. But essentially, when you get too far down, then your back just sort of rolls and it sort of like curls over like that. That's what you don't want. That's called ass to grass, and it's it's funny to do because it does get a lot of quad activation, but then it's not that good for you. So you want to go down until your quads are sort of like a 90-degree angle. So as I said, I could have got a little bit lower, just a little bit. See, so, and also you can use a plate, like one of these plates, you can put it behind your feet. So because my heels go up a little bit here, this isn't a great squat to be honest, but nice and slow on the way down, pause for half a second, and on the way up. And you want to breathe in through your nose, not through your mouth like I'm doing here. This was taken a while ago. To brace, so when you go like that, you tense all your stomach, your abs, and then when you go down, on the way up, you go like that, straight out your mouth, go, and you breathe out just like that, and that's how you go up. And that is squat. So it's very difficult to learn, so I'd recommend something like a leg press. Not that one, there's a leg press that's like at this angle. So you're pushing the actual leg press away from you. You're not pushing the seat that you're sitting on backwards, because here you're just putting your feet on this thing and you're pushing yourself backwards. Those are terrible. The ones that are like this, that's the ones you need. Or you could just practice squat, same difference. Okay, now we've got leg extension. So I think I was doing I was doing this thing where I did 2 half reps and then 1 full rep. So 2 half reps and then a full rep, and then I was holding. But I've just switched to the point now where I just do normal reps. Also, don't mind my little hole in my trousers. I know. So this is very easy to use. So there's this little handle right here, And obviously, depending on the machine you've got at your gym, you basically, with your thumb, say that's the handle, you just press it in like that. So let me, oh, hello. Let me see if I can, let me see if I can go to the point where I have finished. Oh, I don't actually, maybe it's towards the end. Just so you can see how I dismantle myself from this thing. Yeah, here you go, here you go. See, so I press it in, and once it's like clicked in, then I can move it backwards, just like that, and then I can get out. Or same way when you get in. Also, there's a few little things. There's a handle here which you can move this up and down, and then there's also a seat handle that you pull in just about here to go forward and backwards. And you actually want to be sitting quite far back on the leg extension, sort of like this. It's further than you think, but you want it so you're like at this angle, right? So instead of just sitting flat like this and you're moving instead of sitting flat and moving it up like this, your legs like this, you kind of want to be at this angle, so you're moving your legs like that, if that makes sense. Quite hard to explain. And then simple, just on the way down, you want to get to the point where the stack, or like the weights, almost touch the bottom. So there's the weights you're not using, and these are the weights that are going up and down when you move the weight, obviously. When you go down, they get to about here, and if they hit there, then they clink, right? So you know the noise when it goes down, it goes dink, like that when you hit the weights. Don't get to that point, go right just before you're about to touch it, and then push back up again. And then push up, and then really flex those quads at the top. Really flex them, like contract them. Almost push your shin that way, right? Almost push your shin, just do it as far as you can, really. And then hold for half a second, slowly let it back down. And that's it. And what I like to do is I like to do a top set, 2 top sets, basically just meaning a normal set. So I do between 4 and 7 reps. You can do 8 to 12, whatever your set range is, that's fine. I do 4 to 7 reps, and then after the second set, on that second set, I do a drop set. How many times can you say set? And that is where I just drop the weight, as I said, and that's what I'm doing over the course of this video. So this was over a minute long set, but you can see like I'm on like about 10 kg here, and I just cannot move it, right? So your legs shake. It is fantastically awful. And then finally, we've got one more. We have got leg curl. So it depends, again, if you got this, you could use, if you've got a lying hamstring curl, that's way better. You could do RDLs if you know what they are. This is just what I've got in my gym, and this is what I've been using. So you put your legs in between these two things. So this is very similar to leg extension, but this one you put your feet behind this part here, and this bit you put them over the top rather than underneath. And this rests on your shin. This is a flaw. You shouldn't have them here. You should have them on the top of your quads, but that's just techno gym. Like the people who make these machines just aren't very good at them. Nonetheless, as you can see, I put my hand up here and I move. In fact, it's probably a little bit later. Give it a second. Yeah, so I put my hand on that little yellow thing again, put it in, and then move it up, just like that. And you want them so your legs are completely straight. And it feels a bit like, hang on, this is a bit too far here, but it's completely fine. You want to get the full range of motion. And then sort of the same thing with the seat, just basically until your heels are on the end of this pad. So your heels are literally like off the end. And then all you want to do is curl. So you can see how see how they're right on the end there. So maybe I could move them a bit back even further. So this part right here, that like the sole of my shoe, this part should be there really. And then all you want to do is just curl down just like that. Get to the point where you cannot go any further. So you might have to move this thing. See, I can pull this thing out because it's got a bit of yellow on it. I can pull it out and move it up and down depending on where I want to place my feet. And then of course you've got this, like I can pull that in like that. I can close it and I can move my seat back and forth. Just so you want to get the biggest range of motion you can possibly get, which essentially just means how far you can move in the exercise. So you see I can get almost to completely straight with my legs and then move all the way down, and then I can get pretty much a full curl of my legs. And then I like to do a drop set, as I said before, with lots of these exercises, but especially this one and the leg extension. So this is just for your hamstrings, the back of your legs, and that's all you need to know. It's quite simple, really. Just I had no idea what I was doing when I first did these, because these two look the exact same and they all look very like mechanical and technical, so I had no clue. But that's how you use them. And then finally, we've got calf raises. So never skip out on calves. So if I just skip along a bit, so this is the leg press that you don't want to use. I'll zoom in actually. This is the leg press you don't want to use for your quads, but for your calves, they are very good. If you're blessed enough, like I am not, to have a calf raise machine, then use that, because obviously it's made for it. But if you don't, I like to use this. Or you can like get a squat bar, like just, you know, like you're gonna do a squat, but just do calf raises instead. So you push out just so your legs are completely flat on here, and if you see here, they are, okay, I cannot do that, that's fantastic. So it's about halfway down your shoe. You put them right on the bottom, just like that. And then, I like how it does that, it doesn't let me do it, that's good. And you want to go as far down as you physically can. So see how I'm bending my foot? I'm almost bending, say my foot is like this, right? So this is my leg and that's my foot. I'm not just getting to this point where it's like completely flat. I'm bending it even further, right? And then I flex just like that. So you can see how I flex up and really flex it as much as you can, literally just like you're standing on your tippy toes. That's it. And then slowly lower it back down and then flex it as far as you can. And that's all there is to it. That's it. That's calf raises for you. Make sure you do them, don't skip out on them, because we don't want skinny calves. And just before you go, I have a paid product that will help you get from this point to this point in way faster of a time than I did, because I did it very slowly because I didn't know what I was doing. So if you want like a perfect step-by-step autistic detailed guide on how to get to here, then click the first link in the description and I'll see you over there. Good night. Now you may have heard the words bulking and cutting. Bulking means you have what's called a calorie maintenance. So you burn a specific amount of calories every single day. And calories is essentially energy, but I'll get on to why calories don't apply to humans. So you have a maintenance amount of calories that you burn regardless of what you do. So the average guy is about 2,200 to 2,500. You burn 2,500 calories a day regardless of what you do, whether you do exercise, whether you just sit on the sofa, right? And so in order to bulk, to gain mass, to gain weight, then you've got to eat at least 2,500 calories, and then you've got to add something on the end. So you've got this 2,500 and then you eat an extra 200. So you've eaten 2,700 calories in that day, and this 200 calorie extra puts you in a surplus, meaning you are now bulking. So you are eating more than you are burning. And vice versa, if you were to cut, then you would do it the other way. So you would eat 2,300 calories instead of 2,500. So you are burning more than you are intaking, more than you are eating, right? So that is the basis of bulking and cutting. However, calories don't really apply to humans. So when you want to bulk, essentially, this sort of like combines into two, like we've got the bulking and cutting and then why calories don't matter. And it sort of goes into creating a baseline of food. So essentially, I'm going to put this all into one in like this diet and nutrition thing. You want to create a baseline. So you have, rather than eating a lot of different foods, like lots of people eat like random foods and just whatever gets the calories in, calories out. And that phrase is just absolutely ridiculous. We process food chemically. We are not a thermodynamic system, meaning we are not a combustion engine. The definition of a calorie is how much heat energy is needed to increase the temperature of water by 1 degree. That is not how we process food, that's just water, right? And so in that sense, warm water has more calories than cold water. Wood has calories, right? So we're not just gonna go and eat wood just to get like calories in, calories out, right? Because like we can't digest fiber, we can't digest gluten. So if we ate 100 calories worth of fiber or 100 calories worth of gluten, we would get 0 calories worth of that. Even though you've tracked it on your little macro counter or whatever on MyFitnessPal, and it says that, oh, you've eaten like 200 calories worth of fiber, you won't be able to absorb anything from that fiber because it'll just pass straight through you. That's why fiber isn't real, because literally it just passes through you and your body wants to actively get rid of it, and that is why it keeps you like constant on the toilet. So that's why people recommend fiber, but it's not actually good for you. So these things don't actually exist. Calories don't actually exist. It's more about the like properties within the foods, so like the micronutrients. So that's why I always advertise on my channel to eat micronutrient dense foods, nutrient dense foods like animal products, because they are the most nutrient dense foods on the planet. Like an egg or a steak has everything you need, literally every essential nutrient you need. It's got vitamin A, D, E, K2, B12, taurine, creatine, carnosine, leucine, DHA, EPA. It's got everything. Everything you could possibly need to survive and prosper without any of like the harmful chemicals that come along with lots of other stuff. Like even in vegetables, they've got anti-nutrients which basically block the absorption of the minerals. So if you were to eat, if it had like vitamin A in carrots or whatever, the anti-nutrients would block the absorption of that, so you wouldn't be able to access that vitamin A that you've eaten. Whereas in animal products, you don't have that. Animal products are totally open for you to take all of the nutrients. So animal products are just way better, and of course they taste fantastic, so it's like, why not? And it's the same with the protein, a thing called bioavailability. You are able to extract all of that protein because it is complete protein. We are made to eat meat. That is it. That's all you need to know. We've eaten meat for hundreds of thousands of millions of tens of millions of years. We haven't been around for tens of millions of years. We've been around for millions of years, and we've been constantly eating meat throughout all of those generations and generations. And now we've stopped eating that, and our brains have got smaller since the agricultural revolution, where we started eating more grains and less meat. People are now experiencing, well, everyone's dying of cancer and heart disease and stroke because we are eating all like these chemical seed oils and sugars and all this stuff that we are not designed to eat. And suddenly red meat that we've been eating for millions of years that's made us prosper and our brains grow and everything, that is now the issue. Where's the logic, right? So meat is exactly what you should be eating. But I just went on a massive tangent, but I love talking about this stuff. So what you want is to create this baseline of food where you are eating the same things every single day, because not a single animal in the animal kingdom eats more than 1 or 2 or 3 ingredients. Imagine if you could name every single ingredient that you eat. You eat 1 bagel, you can't do that anymore. You eat 1 Domino's pizza slice, you can't do that anymore. Right? So it's very, very, very important to know exactly what you are eating. So if you can get to the point where you are eating whole foods, where like single ingredient foods, you know, like eggs, potato, rice, chicken, everything like that, then that's fantastic. And then if you can get even better to the point where you cut out starchy carbs because they're not good for you, you're not supposed to eat them, and you are just mainly eating animal based, that is what I do. So I only eat meat, eggs, fruit and raw dairy. If you can get to that point, then absolutely fantastic. So I keep going off on tangents, oh my gosh. Let me look at my list just to know. Eat like a dog, that's what I meant to say. So essentially, every single animal eats the exact same ingredients all the time. Like if a cow went from eating grains to eating grass and just eating grass and solely eating grass, would you be like, oh my God, he's gonna die, he's only eating 1 food, he's eating grass, he's gonna die, cholesterol, like, but as soon as we start eating meat, everyone's like, oh my God, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. It's not. Every single animal eats the exact same foods. A panda eats bamboo and bamboo alone, right? We are not the exception. And as soon as we start listening to everyone else, all like these corrupt companies and stuff that have been bribed, like the American Heart Association and everything, they've been bribed like $20 million to lie about saturated fat and seed oils, like people like Ansel Keys. Basically, everything is corrupt, and we've been sold this lie. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, this is fact, that we have been sold this lie that saturated fat is bad, and that like cholesterol and all of these things and red meat that we've been eating for millions of years is the problem, when as soon as we started eating like sugars and seed oils and everything, like McDonald's and McFlurries and everything started going up, like all of the diseases started going up, they covered that up and said that saturated fat was the problem. And it just doesn't make any logical sense, because we've been eating it for millions of years and we have had no metabolical problem until we remove those foods and added something else. If you gave an animal the wrong food, they would get sick and they would die. We are eating the wrong foods, we are getting sick and we are dying of diseases. If an animal has a disease, it is dying. We are all dying of diseases because of these foods that we are eating, right? So this is serious. And if you actually want to make progress, then you have to eat the correct foods, because otherwise you will just get fat. I was eating 4,500 calories, 4,500 calories worth of food, which is ridiculous, just to see any weight gain. But the problem is, when you gain weight, that's not necessarily muscle. I could be gaining just pure fat, right? But the only way I could see any kind of difference in my weight is if I ate 4,500 calories. But that's just because I was eating these terrible foods. As soon as I switch to the diet that I'm eating now, where I'm just eating like animal products, then my weight pretty much stays the same, or sometimes it goes up, sometimes it doesn't, it goes down or whatever, but I'm losing fat and gaining strength and building muscle. And it's like, oh yeah. Because I'm getting all those bioavailable sources of protein, I'm getting all the nutrients, I'm optimizing for nutrition, everything that my body needs, and it works perfectly. Okay? So going back to this flipping baseline, oh my God. You need to create a baseline of food where you eat the same things every single day, just like any other animal in the animal kingdom. You need to eat the exact same things every single day. So even if you're not at the point that I'm at yet, try and get to the point where you are eating whole foods. So say on a daily basis, again, you want to schedule it like you scheduled your workout routines and everything. You want to get to this point where you are eating, I don't know, like porridge in the morning. I don't advocate for porridge, but say for example, like eggs and whatever you'd have eggs with, eggs and avocado in the morning, right? You have that at exactly 7:30 a.m., right? And then at lunchtime you have, I don't know, chicken, rice and broccoli if you're like a bodybuilder or whatever. That's not actually a fantastic meal. It's better to just have a steak. At 12 o'clock, right, okay? And then at 3 p.m. you have, I don't know, milk, whatever, right? So you have like specific meal times and you stick to them precisely. You don't snack in the middle. You're not eating around the clock, constantly eating and eating and eating. That is not how we're designed. We were supposed to like kill the boar, you know, like go out for the day in the morning, fasted, hungry, kill the boar, bring it back and eat just all the meat and the blood. And that was it, right? We barely have any access to fruit unless it was seasonal. Like it is seasonal fruit, and it is made to put on fat. That is the whole point of it. But most of the time, all we would be eating is strictly meat, and that is it. And then we prospered off of it. And now we don't do that and we die. So try and eat as much meat as possible. Forget what everybody else says because they are lying and everyone's dying anyway listening to this advice. Just eat as much meat as physically possible. That is it. Just increase your meat counter, right? So you have this baseline now where you're going to write this on like a Notion template or a notes app, or like just stick it on your wall or whatever, exactly what times and exactly what foods you eat, okay? And then you can like check on a scale or check I think it's actually better to see if you're going up in strength at the gym. So you're at the gym and you're counting your reps and you notice that you've plateaued, like nothing's really happening, right? So you're staying the same weight and your strength isn't going up at all. That means that you need to add something to your diet. So you've got this baseline, and the beauty of it is you can now add something else. So you can add an extra chicken leg, or you can add an extra, I don't know, potato or something, right? And then you will notice if your weight goes up, or if your strength goes up, or if you get a little bit fatter, if you get a little bit leaner, or if you're gaining weight too fast and you're getting too fat, then you can remove something. Maybe you remove that porridge in the morning, for example. And then suddenly you can see that, oh, with this diet, I am like lean gaining. I'm gaining like a little bit of muscle. Like it's quite slow, but I'm gaining muscle, but I'm not gaining any fat. And you, with this baseline, you can see exactly what happens when you can implement different foods, and you can manipulate it so you're taking things out and adding things back in. And that way you don't need to worry about calories, because calories don't apply to humans, okay? So now we've got this baseline. Now you know exactly what you're eating every single day. Just eat as much meat as possible. Like prioritize meat and eggs and dairy, essentially. If you can get raw dairy, then fantastic, but if not, just go for dairy. Okay, so you're eating these animal products. Try and eat as much animal products, base the entirety of your diet off of animal products, and then just add and remove things depending on your progress. That is the basis of nutrition. Okay, so finally, we are just going to move on to how to sleep. So this is a problem that a lot of people have. They go to sleep at like 1 a.m. in the morning or whatever, and like they're scrolling on TikTok for 5 hours, and of course you're not going to get sleep. When you get sleep, you know what sleep does, right? I notice in the morning, if I've had a good sleep, then I wake up and I'm just like I am now, right? When I have a good sleep, I can just wake up and just move. I can get going, I can go for a run, I can go for a sprint, anything, because I've had a good sleep. But when I haven't, I notice it. I get up and my eyes are like all sleepy. You know, like your alarm's going off and you're like trying to prise your eyes open. They're like dead heavy, your eyelids and everything. That's the sign of a bad sleep. You are supposed to be woken up and ready to go, right? You're supposed to like attack the day, okay? So the way you sleep properly is you have to get 9 hours of allocated bedtime. You don't have to get 8 hours of sleep. Let me say that again. Lots of people believe that 8 hours of bedtime equals sleep, but it does not. When people say you need 8 hours of sleep, they mean you need 8 hours of sleep. As soon as you like hit the hay, you're not just flat out like that and immediately sleeping, right? You take a while to get to sleep, even if it's like 10 minutes or something. That's still time. So what you need to do is have 9 hours where you're trying to get to sleep. So for me, I wake up at 5:30 every single morning. That means I go to sleep at 8:30. So you get into bed at 8:30, or for example, you go to bed at like 9 o'clock is a bit more reasonable. You get into bed at 9 o'clock, or if you're ambitious, go for 8:30 and be like an absolute child and wake up in the morning and get stuff done. It's fantastic. But you go to sleep and you're like sitting there and you're lying there, and I like to use a book. Like I like to get into bed at 8:30 and then read for like 10 minutes. And then that makes me really tired for some reason. I put the book away and then I fall to sleep within 20 minutes, which before it took me like an hour to fall asleep, okay? So that is exactly how you optimize your amount of sleep. You obviously don't want to have like tons of light, like excess light. I don't turn my light on at all. Like at the end of the day, I just leave it off and let the sun go down. I turn like the night shift on my phone. Like turn that on, don't be a retard. Turn it on so you're not blasting your face with all this artificial light. You want to get used to the sun going down naturally. And I've noticed that my sleep has been fantastic since I've been doing that. And especially since I've been reading the book in bed. I don't know why that helps so much, but it does. And I've got like a little sleep tracker on my watch. And it actually tells me that I've changed my, what's the word for it? It's like a sleep profile. So you have like what animal you are, like in terms of your sleep. And I used to be, I can't remember what it was, a tortoise. It takes me ages to fall asleep, but then I'm flat out until the morning, right? So I don't wake up in the middle of the night. But now I'm like a bear. I've switched my profile just because of how well I've been sleeping, where I now am a bear where I just fall asleep really quickly and stay asleep the whole night. Like how amazing is that? And when you wake up in the morning, if you want to wake up to an alarm, my absolute key, like the best way to do it is to put it on the other side of your room. So I put it on this chair here that I'm looking at. My bed is over there right now. And so when the alarm goes off, I have to wake up and physically have to get out of bed and walk over and turn it off. Whereas if it's right next to your bed, you can just hit the snooze button or just start scrolling on TikTok, right? As soon as the alarm goes off, I have to physically get up out of my bed, walk over to my chair, turn it off, and then by that time, because I've had a good sleep anyway, I'm ready to just sit and work for like 10 minutes and then go for a walk, get some sunlight into my eyes, activate that circadian rhythm, which is basically your body clock. Try and get outside and get sunlight into your eyes, even if it's not bright out, even if it's not sunny outside, as long as it's like daytime, like it's not pitch black outside. If it's actually bright, that means the sun is out and you are activating the circadian rhythm, meaning that your body will be ready to go to sleep when you go to bed. And you'll notice that if you've got like the correct sleep and you've activated the circadian rhythm within half an hour to an hour of waking up, you'll be able to go to sleep pretty much instantly, like I do, and become that bear. So that is exactly how you improve your sleep, and that is exactly what you need to do to start the gym. If you want even more personal help from me, where I can guarantee you results, then this program is the best investment into your fitness you could possibly make. I'm essentially your coach, your teacher, your mentor inside there. I know everything. I know every little problem that you might have had. Like I've added so many little bonuses in here, like little tracking sheets and planners and everything, just in the classroom section of here, just to make it as easy as possible for you to make progress. Like I've got like the specific grocery list that I use, and inside the Growth Mastery course, I have so many modules going into everything you could possibly need to know when starting the gym, so you know exactly what to implement, just like I've taught you in this video, exactly how to start, exactly how to prosper. And in the Growth Accelerator course, I teach you like advanced strategies to make phenomenal progress. And of course, there's like absolute killers inside here. Like there's a 14-year-old who is just making fantastic progress right now. He's eating like single ingredient foods, he's eating a ton of meat like me, and he's seen the progress so that he can perform better in the sports he wants to perform in. It's absolutely fantastic. If you want to see phenomenal progress, not only with you, but you want to grow with another guy rather than like the people who are drinking Monster Energy in your school or whatever in your class, then this is the place to be, because they are all inside here. All the people who you want to be next to, who you want to hype up, who you want to be with when you are progressing in your journey. And you know, you post in here and say, oh, I got a new bench PR or something, and rather than everyone saying what's a bench PR, they're all like, oh, come on lads, go, you know, and they're hyping you up. It's absolutely sick. This is the place to be. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's a fantastic program. I've spent so many hours trying to make it as best as possible to guarantee you those results. So if you really want to start taking action, if you really want to get jacked by improving your health, then join this program. I will see you over there. Good night.